Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Divorce Coach Diaries. It is February 14th, Valentine's Day. And so today I want to talk about dating. I want to talk about dating and questions to ask yourself so that you have a better idea whether or not you want to date for healthy reasons or if you're not dating for healthy reasons. And again, anything that you do is totally okay. You get to choose, but I just want to give you some things to think about if this is something that you question, which is super common. Most divorced people do question whether or not they're ready to date or if they even want to, and it's okay. So, I wanted to start off by a little story that was so funny to me. And I'm probably going to get some details wrong because it's just something that I saw on social media, probably Instagram at some point. And it was this woman, and it was her kind of acting out why it's so hard to find someone to date in your 40s. And she started out with this big pile of goldfish. And she has them on this placemat of a map of the world. And she says, you start out and here's all the men. First of all, you have to take away the ones who are married. Then you have to take away the ones who are too old or too young. And then you have to take away the ones who aren't nice, or these are the ones who aren't emotionally available, and taking away more and more and more goldfish. And then she finishes at the end and she has this little handful and she says, okay, so these are the available men. And she puts them on the placemat and she smashes them all up to bits. And then she sprinkles them all over the placemat, symbolizing the world. And she said, and this is where I live. And so, of course, she's got just like a couple of crumbs sprinkled in the general area of where she lives. And the idea is, of course, that it's really hard to find someone who really meshes with you and who checks all the boxes of your list or your checkbox items. And I say that because this is generally what the world thinks. And we have lots of evidence to think or to prove this true. When we talk about dating after divorce, especially if you're in your 40s, 30s, 50s, we talk about it like there's nobody good left. And it's so hard to find a decent partner. And through this episode, I'm going to be speaking as a woman looking for a man. That's just what comes most naturally to me because that's my personal situation. But I certainly don't want anyone listening to think that this only applies to you if you're a woman looking for a man, anything like that. It's just comes the easiest and most naturally to me to speak about it that way, and it also just so happens that that's most of my clients as well, and so it just comes naturally to me to speak that way. But of course this applies no matter what. So I want to talk about questions to ask yourself to flush out whether or not you are in a good space to date, or if you even want to, because you can absolutely make a healthy decision not to date. And that is totally fine. If you think, yes, I'm ready to date, I want to date, let's talk about questions you can ask yourself to answer the bigger question of why. Why do you want to date, and why do you think you're ready to date? Maybe your answer to this question is partly, it's what my family and friends expect of me. Everybody in my circle is partnered, and it's awkward For me to be the only one, I always feel like the third wheel or the pity invite or the one who's left out of things because they don't want me to feel awkward when they're all with them. So maybe part of your answer is my family and friends. That's a big reason why I want to date again, so that I don't have to be the only one who doesn't have someone. Or I don't want to hear it from my mom. That's something I hear often as well. Like, my mom thinks I should be dating. So just pay attention when you ask yourself why, if this is something that comes up for you. And again, we're just being curious about these answers and figuring out what comes up and questioning that. Maybe you're lonely. It makes sense. Maybe your kids go to your ex's house and then you're all alone and you don't know what to do with that. Maybe it's been a long time since you've really been alone and it's uncomfortable. Maybe that's a reason why you want to date, because you don't want to be alone. Maybe you have your kids all the time, or you have some kids who are really challenging and you want a partner to help you with that. You don't want to be the only parent. Maybe that's a big motivator for why you want to date again. And if so, just pay attention and recognize that and own it. Maybe you think that if you get married again, that you won't have to worry about money as much as you do right now. Maybe that's a big motivator for you. And again, I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with any of these reasons for why you might think that you'd like to date again. We're just looking at it and becoming aware of it. So many of us spend our whole lives completely unaware, and it doesn't actually serve us. It's so useful to start paying attention to your thoughts and how they make you feel, and just noticing it. We're not here to judge anything. We're just noticing. At my kids' school, they call this being an emotional scientist. I love it at my kids' school. They do a ton of work and instruction and teaching the teachers and the students about emotional intelligence. And they talk about it in this way, becoming an emotional scientist. And I love it so much because it serves these kids. It serves these teenagers and all the teachers to really start paying attention to what they're feeling and not judging it. And they're learning to identify what they feel and figure out why it is that they feel that way without judging themselves. So that's what I want to challenge you to do, to become a scientist about your thoughts and your feelings rather than a judge. So we talked about a few reasons for why you might want to date. Let's talk about a few reasons for why you might not want to. The biggest and most obvious one, of course, is that you're afraid. If you are like a lot of my clients, you were in a really toxic or even abusive relationship and you're afraid to get into another one. Your brain and your body might be telling you this is dangerous. It's safer to be by ourselves. We do not want to do that again, and we're just going to stay away. It's way better to be alone than it is to be partnered with someone toxic or abusive. And again, it's okay if that's what comes up for you. It makes perfect sense based on your lived experiences. All we're doing is just drawing attention and becoming aware for why we feel and think what we do. Maybe you don't want to date because you don't think your kids are ever going to like somebody that you date. Or on the opposite side, you don't think that anyone that you date is going to like your kids. It makes sense. If this is coming up for you, kids are a really big and important part of your life. And of course, you're going to want the person that you date to like your kids and for your kids to like that person. It's a big deal. So if that comes up for you for a reason that you don't want to date or that you're afraid to, it makes sense and it's okay. Another reason that you might not want to date is because you're afraid that your friends or family won't like this person. Again, it makes sense. We put so much pressure on ourselves, or we're hearing outside pressure from our family or friends, and it feels like such a big deal to let people know that you're dating again or you're not dating again. And we're worried about what they're going to think. So it makes sense. Another reason that you might be afraid to date is because you're worried that this other person's life is not going to fit in with yours, or that your life isn't going to fit in with theirs. Well, I don't want to date anyone because I'm worried that I'll like them at first and then I won't anymore and it'll be super awkward. And I don't want to hurt anyone's feelings. If this sounds like you, if you're a people pleaser, there are a lot of women who are so good at doing what other people want them to do, and they're terrible at standing up for themselves and feeling like it is okay for them to want certain things or not want certain things. So if that's you, it's okay. Be gentle. And if that is you, I can help you. I can help you develop skills and become stronger so that you can advocate for yourself or that you even know what it is that you want or don't want. So, if you ask me, what's the best reason for wanting to date again or not wanting to date? Just because you want to. Here's the thing about me. I love love. I love love in all its forms. Love is the very best feeling that we get to experience as humans. It feels amazing. Anytime that I can figure out how to bring more love into my life, I am all in. So if you want to date and you like your reasons why, then great. Keep that up. If you don't want to date and you like your reasons for that, that is totally valid and 100% okay. Here's what I want to tell you before I end this episode. One, it is so easy to believe that there is nobody good out there. Maybe you've dated a little bit and you have not liked anything that experience brought into your life. Maybe you don't even want to date because everything outside of you and all the evidence that you have points you to this is going to be a disaster. I don't want anything to do with it. I'm just not going to date. There's nobody good out there. I want you to challenge that thought. What if there are good people out there? What if there are? I believe that there are. I believe there are a lot of really good people out there. Does it mean that you are immediately going to find your person and have this beautiful love story right from the start when you start dating? I don't know, maybe, but I believe that there is goodness out there. I believe that people are good and that you can smartly and with awareness date, and find good people. The last thing that I want to bring up is to remember that when you are dating someone, you are dating them exactly how they are. We are not going to date someone for potential. That is a topic for another episode, but I just want to bring that to your attention and say that very clearly. We are not dating someone because we think we could fix them, or we think that there's a tiny little glimmer of hope that they could be who we really are hoping they are. We're not interested in that. Date someone for who they are right now with no expectation of them ever changing. Because remember, people show us who they are. And it's really good judgment to believe them. Okay, friends, that's what I've got for you today. I just want to remind you, as always, if anything that I talked about today sounds like something you want to hear more about, reach out to me, please. I would love to hear from you. Come and find me on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, my website, all at Meg the Divorce Coach. And if you've been thinking about booking a free coaching session, do it. You've got nothing to lose, totally no strings attached. I would love to meet you. Come to my website, megthedivorcecoach.com/free coaching. Come and meet me. I can't wait to hear from you. Have a wonderful weekend, friends. And I'll see you next time.